You just thought about yawning. And there's a good chance you're already doing it. That's how powerful this reflex is. It can be triggered by a single word, a single thought, or watching someone across the room open their mouth. You don't decide to yawn. It just happens. And it happens to every single vertebrate on Earth. Fish yawn, snakes yawn, dogs yawn, birds yawn, fetuses yawn inside the womb, months before they take their first breath of air. Whatever a yawn is doing, it's ancient. It's been around longer than language, longer than memory, longer than almost anything we'd call human. And yet, we still don't fully know why. That's what we're going to figure out today. First, what actually happens when you yawn? Your mouth opens wide. Wider than almost any other reflex forces it to open. Your jaw drops as far as it will go. You inhale a long, slow breath. Your eyes squeeze shut. Sometimes your ears pop. Your face contorts in a way you have basically no control over. And then, for just a second, something interesting happens. Your heart rate increases slightly. Your body temperature shifts. Something in your brain changes state. A yawn isn't just an open mouth, it's a full body event. It lasts between 4 and 7 seconds on average. And for those few seconds, almost every muscle in your face and throat is involved. So why does the body do this? The oldest explanation, the one you probably learned in school, is that yawning brings in extra oxygen when your blood oxygen gets too low. It sounds logical. You're tired, you're not breathing deeply, your oxygen drops, your body compensates with a big gulp of air. The problem is, it's wrong. Andrew Gallup, a researcher at Princeton, tested this directly. He had people breathe air with different oxygen and carbon dioxide concentrations, and it made no difference to how often they yawned. More oxygen didn't reduce yawning, less oxygen didn't increase it, so oxygen isn't the answer. Then what is? The leading theory right now is brain temperature regulation. Here's the idea. Your brain is a machine, and like any machine, it runs better at a certain temperature. Too hot, and performance drops. Cognitive function slows. Attention drifts. When your brain temperature rises, from tiredness, from being in a warm room, from a long period of mental focus, your body needs to cool it down. And a yawn, it turns out, is an efficient cooling mechanism. When you open your jaw that wide, it stretches the blood vessels in the face and skull. The deep inhalation draws cooler outside air into the nasal passages and mouth, right up against those vessels. The result, a small but measurable drop in brain temperature, right after a yawn. This explains several things that the oxygen theory couldn't. It explains why you yawn more when you're tired. Your brain has been running hot for hours and needs to reset. It explains why yawning peaks twice a day, once shortly after waking up when your brain temperature is rising, and once in the early evening when it peaks before dropping for sleep. It explains why you yawn when you're bored. Not because boredom means low oxygen, but because when you're mentally disengaged, your body temperature regulation becomes less active. And yawning compensates. And it explains something strange that Gallup found. People yawn less in cold environments than in warm ones. If you're already surrounded by cold air, the cooling mechanism is less necessary. The brain doesn't need to yawn as much. Your yawn is your brain taking a cold drink of the water. Now, the contagious part. Because this is where it gets genuinely strange. Yawning is one of the most contagious things that exists. Not contagious like a virus. Contagious like a signal, a trigger. Something that moves between people without any physical contact at all. You see someone yawn. You yawn. You hear someone yawn. You yawn. You read the word yawn. Many of you just yawned. Thinking about yawning can make you yawn. I've yawned multiple times writing this. It's been documented in humans, chimpanzees, baboons, dogs, and even budgies. And here's what makes it fascinating. Not everyone is equally susceptible. Children under the age of 4 and not contagious. They see someone yawn and nothing happens. That capacity develops later. People with autism spectrum disorder are significantly less susceptible to contagious yawning on average, and people who score higher on measures of empathy, more susceptible, more likely to catch a yawn from someone across the room. That's not a coincidence. Contagious yawning activates the same regions of the brain involved in social cognition and empathy. The parts of the brain that mirror other people's states. that model what another person is experiencing, that synchronize your inner world with theirs. When you catch a yawn, your brain has done something subtle and automatic. It's read a social signal, recognized a physiological state in another person, and mirrored it. Some researchers think contagious yawning evolved as a group synchronization mechanism. If one animal in a group is tired, if their brain temperature is peaking and they need to reset, yawning spreads through the group and brings everyone to the same state simultaneously. Sleep together, wake together, stay alert together. It's a biological version of a signal, system state changing, adjust accordingly. Dogs, interestingly, can catch yawns from humans, specifically from humans they know. Strangers less so. The connection matters. And there's another layer to this. Yawning is suppressed in high-stress situations. If you're being watched, evaluated, or threatened, the contagious yawn response is dampened. Your body prioritizes an alertness over synchronization, which is why you've probably noticed that yawning in a job interview feels like a betrayal of your own nervous system. There's one more thing worth covering. Why yawning feels so good. Most people find a full, unrestrained yawn genuinely pleasurable, satisfying in a way that's hard to describe. There's even a word for the satisfaction of a good yawn, repandiculation, though it technically refers to the full stretch and yawn combination you do when you wake up. The pleasure seems to be real. Yawning triggers a small release of neurotransmitters, including dopamine, in the areas of the brain connected to reward and social bonding, which might explain why suppressing a yawn feels so uncomfortable. You can keep your mouth closed, but you'll still feel the urge move through you. Your eyes water, your jaw tightens. The reflex pushes against the social rule that says you shouldn't do it in front of people. And yet, here's the irony. The act of suppressing it in social situations is itself a social behavior. You're managing the impression you make on the group. The yawn is social. Suppressing it is social. Catching it from someone else is social. This reflex that seems like the most basic, involuntary, automatic thing your body does is deeply embedded in how we connect with each other. A fish yawns because its ancient brain needs to reset. A human catches a yawn across a room because something in them mirrors the state of another person. Those two things are connected by a single reflex, hundreds of millions of years old, that we still haven't completely figured out. That's the quiet thing about yawning. It feels like nothing. It feels like background noise, like the body on autopilot. But it's your brain regulating itself, reading the room and quietly syncing with the people around you, all at once, without you noticing. If you found this fascinating, there's so much more where this came from. Subscribe, and we'll dig into another one next time.